G'day fellas and welcome to A Casted Game. Spawning in on the south side of the map, playing in the colour teal as the English, it's Crackety here. And in the north side of the map, playing in the colour purple as the Malians representing Team My Insanity, it's Zerden. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, I was going to say the fourth game, but I think we're after the fourth game right now. I think it might be the fifth game in this series. Now, I guess before we talk about the rest of this series, I want to talk about Red Bull Walla Lol. If you haven't already, go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description to what you're missing out. But let me just fill you in on some of the details. There's players like the Viper, players like Marine Lord, players like Beastie Cutie, players like the Muslim that are going to be playing for $300,000. Go check it out. It's live on Twitch. It's live on YouTube. And they're probably playing right now. So, you know, you should just double check if you haven't already. But anyway, let's talk about this series and where we're up to at the moment in this series. So we are in an English versus Malians. This is game number 5, and Zerden has break point right now. What do I mean by break point? Well, he just won a game with the Ottomans against one of the OG civilizations, and that means he's got the advantage because it makes it, well, from here he can basically just trade out. As long as he wins with all of his OG civs, he should technically just win the event. So he's going to be super duper happy with winning that last game. It makes it very, very easy for him from here. By the same token, it's going to be very difficult for Crackety, so he's going to have to dig deep here, and he's going to have to find victories on civilizations that he's not as familiar with. Civilizations like the Ottomans, like the Malians, civilizations which players don't have that preparation on, or at least that super duper preparation on. You know, with the English, Crackety's been playing this civilization for 18 months now. Not only has Age of Empires 4 been out for 12 months, but he was probably playing the beta, probably playing the alpha, probably playing the, what comes before that? I don't even think you get anything before an alpha. I think that's just literally the first thing. But you guys get what I mean. It's been a long time that he's been playing the English. He knows them inside out, whereas the Ottomans, the Malians, he doesn't. Let's talk a little bit about this matchup, though, the way that it works, what you want to be up to, what you want to be doing. Well, the English, typically, they like that early aggression. They don't always have to play it, but they're very good at it. And my suspicion is they might be pretty decent in this matchup. I don't think I've seen this matchup before, but to me, there's a lot of things that do make sense. You can be looking to open with something like a longbow spearman push, and then eventually move into men-at-arms. And that's part of the reason why I think the English might be really good in this matchup, because the Malians love with a capital L to go donzos and javelin throwers. But what counters that composition? It's the men-at-arms. The men-at-arms counters that composition. And the English get access to that in the second age. So naturally, it seems like the English would be pretty decent in this matchup. Now, of course, you don't get armor cladding in the second age. You get it in the third age. But you still get access to the men-at-arms in the second age. So it's still a pretty decent thing. Now, when it comes to the response, at least the typical response that would be coming out to men-at-arms, it would be horsemen. But hold on a minute, the Malians have got a one up there. They've got the Sofa, which is kind of like the Horseman 1.5 or the Knight 0.7. It is a mix between the Horseman and the Knight, but it's still not as strong as when it's in the Castle Age. So if you can force your enemy to make Sofa in the Feudal Age, I think you're going to be in a really decent position. So I'm curious to see what direction Crackety goes, and it looks like it's going to be an early town center. So already definitely the right choice, in my opinion, to go for this. But we once again see Zerden rushing up his landmark as the Malians. This is the second time we've witnessed him do this with the Malians, where he goes for a super duper fast Mansa quarry, but he keeps it on gold. To me, that's the interesting thing. He keeps it on gold. You know, if you're going with like a 3 minutes 30, 3 minute 40 age up, I would have thought you're looking to get it on stone, because, you know, you'd just want to be leaving it on stone so you can get in that second town center. But he's not even doing that here. He's just leaves it on gold. So he looks to get it up as quickly as possible, start to get that extra passive gold trickling in. And now I'm going to start focusing on that wood collection and look to start dropping down. Now, from here, the question is, where does he go? I would suspect he goes into archery range and gets javelin throwers out. And this is just going to get better the longer it goes for the English player, I feel. So, to me, I look at this matchup and I'm like, you know what? I think Crackety here has a really good matchup here for the Malians. I think English against Malians, if you can get this matchup, I think this is a really good matchup. But let's wait and see exactly how it plays out. Over on the other side of the map, though, Crackety aging up with one villager on the landmark, going the old school way, just tapping away, just tap it in, happy, just tap it in, and he's really working towards that second down center. And we can see he's got 5 villagers on the stone, which means it's going to be 7 lots of 50, which add up to that 350 stone. Keep in mind the town centers have been nerfed recently. They are costing extra, they're taking longer to build, and they're still coming out pretty early though. Like, this is something to consider, right? Like, he's going to have the resources to drop down the town center right now. He's not even aged up, and that's the big thing, right? Like, he's still got another 10-20 seconds before he ages up. So he's going to need to move villagers over onto this landmark if he wants to get the town center down right now. But I guess the alternative is he just moves out onto the huntable deer and takes advantage of that, because the thing is, you don't need to drop the town center immediately. You can be on the deer, go kill the deer first, and that's what he's going to do. We see him killing the deer, and then he'll place the TC in the middle afterwards. So definitely the right move here. From him, he can start gathering, and now drops down the town center immediately. Oh, he's going for in the middle of the hunt. I like this. He's going for like a double hunt town center. Beautiful play here. And now from Zerton, he's going to be matching this. So let's have a look and see. He still keeps the Mansa Quarry on gold. He just refused to take this bad boy. I wonder if he knows that it can go over onto stone or not. Manages to actually kill a sheep carcass as well, which is going to hurt Crackety. You know, a lot of English players, this wouldn't hurt them. Why wouldn't it hurt them? Because they're just going to be going over onto farms. But Crackety, he's intentionally playing a style which is going to be utilizing the food on the map here, and that does hurt him because that means that he is going to have to transition to farm sooner rather than later. And it is going to be an archery range, so Javelin Throw is probably going to be the first units coming out here. He'll be looking to defend the front line. We see the first of the longbows making its way across the map, and that does get scouted out by the scout of Zerton, so he knows exactly what his enemy is up to and what the plan is. He turns around and starts firing at the scout. He could actually just fire at the sheep here. Wouldn't be a terrible decision either, but I think he knows exactly what his enemy is planning, and that there's going to be javelin throwers on the way, so he realizes that committing to this, it could be dangerous. Let's see exactly how it plays out. Second town center going up for Zerton now. Pretty decent spot for him here. He's got the berries close. He's going to begin focusing down a villager. Worst case scenario, this villager is just going to get moved back towards the town center. He just moves it even closer, and I guess realistically, yeah, he can just he can kind of bait the longbow towards his position. Javelin thrower about to come out. No, javelin thrower not even in queue at this point. He's dropped the range, but hasn't dropped the javelin throwers. He's only got 8 villagers on this town center, but it will be coming up very shortly, and if he doesn't back out away from this, he's going to be losing the longbow. I think he might have left it to a little bit late, and he grouped them up together. Rest in peace, sweet prince. Rest in peace. Indeed. So, Crackety's got 2 options from here. Now that the town center's come up from his enemy. Number 1 is he plays it out in feudal. Number 2 is that he goes to the castle age. And I think it's very safe for an English castle age from here, because he can go straight into 3 town centers. He can start thinking about going into knights. It makes it very difficult for the Malian player to proceed from here, because the Malian player is going to do damage. The Malian player is going to kill town centers, or he's going to kill villagers. And he can't really... Oh, that is so cheeky. He can't really do either of those things but by the time that the English player can get up to the castle age. So it makes a lot of sense to go castle age here, but it looks like Crackety is going to be sticking it out in the feudal age. You can see he's gathering up quite a lot of wood here. I say he's going to be sticking it out in the feudal age. What is he doing with all this wood here? Crackety up to 400 wood. Might just be thinking about going for a farm transition. We can see some upgrades now coming through for him. We're right on board with our English player and see what he plans on doing. Double houses getting dropped down, but you'd think if he was planning on playing the feudal age, he would have been dropping down a few more military production facilities, but we can see he's got 400 wood in the bag, so he could be thinking about going for some farms, and now more villagers getting added into gold. So this is definitely the right choice in my opinion. You've spotted your enemy go for a second TC. Now you go for your third TC in the form of your age up. Go straight into knights. Look to try and punish your enemy. Look to try and hit them with raids, and look at this, Zerton responding with the appropriate thing. This just shows the level that these guys are at, and the fact that they understand these matchups, because Zerton realizes I've got to get walls up because there's going to be knights coming towards me soon, because Crackety's response to this should be an age up into knights, into monks collecting relics, and then eventually crossbows and longbows with a whole bunch of knights. In fact, you probably wouldn't want to make crossbows against the Malians, because they don't actually have any armored units. It doesn't make sense to do it. Though, actually, I might have to double check that, because I remember looking at the stable and seeing that I remember seeing that with the stable, the Sofa Horseman is actually considered a heavy unit, but I don't know whether it gets counted. I mean, if it's a heavy unit, it should be counted by the crossbow. So I might have to double check my facts and figures. Maybe we've got a pro in the chat who knows the answer to it, but we can see the upgrades now starting to come through. And it's going to be +1 on the mining upgrade. We've got +1 on the food gathering. We've also got +1 on the wood gathering. And once again, wheelbarrow going to be the last economic technology coming through for Crackety. So we can really see that wheelbarrow has fallen off as a favorite technology for a lot of these games. This is absolutely wild to me. And look at the distance that he's moving out here. You would think wheelbarrow would be a top priority when you're moving this far, but hunting survival technique is going to be the priority for him here instead. So doing a beautiful job here with the macro as well. Looking to age up very shortly. And we can see on the other side of the map, Zerton going to be doing the same thing. And Zerton actually dropping down double barracks and a range. So looking to go into that 2TC into the castle age for both players. The difference here that Zerton, instead of going into the 2TC into the castle age, he's going to be going 2TCs, castle age, and then into cows. So cows are where he's going to be finding his economic bonus. Now keep in mind, there's a bit of difference here. Would you prefer villages or would you prefer cows? And to be honest, I think I'd kind of prefer cows, because cows, while they're an investment and they're a heavy amount of investment, you know, it's 1,000 gold that you're talking, they don't take any population space. So the longer this game goes on, the better it gets for Zerton. But at the same time, I mean, to be honest, I'm going to say it right now. I think this is the battle of the late game civs. And I've said this before, I think the Malians are probably going to be S tier when it comes to late game. Not because they've got one super powerful unit or they've got one super powerful upgrade, but rather they've got a lot of things that work well together. Like you look at the English, what do they have in the late game that goes for them? And the answer is trebuchets, right? They've got a lot of things that are conducive to trebuchet production. They've got enclosures as a technology. They've got shattering projectiles as a unique technology. And they've also got access to the Wingguard Palace, which produces out trebuchets basically free. And it makes them non-stop. It makes it like every minute and 10 seconds or something like that, you've got trebuchets coming out. So you've always really got trebuchets out on the field. That's the big thing for the English late game. And you've also got network of castles, network of citadels, which make defending so damn easy with those trebs. So that's where the English focus is in the late game, and that's what makes them so damn strong. But for the Malians, where their bonus comes in is the cows. The cows, as well as the passive gold from the pit mine and the Mansa Quarry, mean that in the late game, you've got more gold coming in from your Mansa Quarry and your pit mines than you do from 5 relics. If you capture 5 relics, you're still not going to be making as much gold as you would with your pit mines and your Mansa Quarry. That is the difference here. And so there's a lot of population space that is not being used to generate resources. So they're generating those resources out of thin air, and that's what makes Malians a really strong civilization in the late game. As well, they've also got access to the Sofa, which is a very cheap, heavy cavalry unit, which just makes the late game very easy for them because they can just keep pumping that unit out, produces very quickly, and it is just one of the best units by far in the late game, in my opinion. I think it's probably going to be nerfed. That's how good it is in the late game. But we do now see exactly what we suspected, and it's going to be knights in the castle age into a monastery for relics to be picked up. So a pretty standard English castle age here. You see this in almost every single matchup. It's very safe for the English to do this. With the town centers and the extra arrows that they're firing from the town centers, it means that they're able to defend against any kind of push that comes in. You know, the same way that the Holy Roman Empire can defend against a ram attack through emergency repairs, the English can defend against any potential attack just because of the extra arrows that their town centers fire. So it can always be a bit dangerous pushing into them and trying to dish out damage. But now we do see Crackety moving up ahead with the economy. He's in a little bit of trouble here as the Donzos as well as the Javelin Throwers going to be coming out. No textiles in just yet, so he's going to lose just that one villager for the moment, but the town center going to be able to provide some assistance. He's now throwing down an outpost here. Keep in mind, he's right up against this stealth forest, and stealth forest is going to be working its magic both ways. No scout nearby. Hopefully he can bring this scout over towards the west side and provide a little bit of insight as to what's going on behind that stealth forest. We'll check in now with Zerton and see how the walls are going. Full walls are up. If there's ever been a game in this series that I thought is probably going to go an hour long, this is the game. English versus the Malians. I really think right now this is a test of the Imperial Age. And it is only going to be a matter of time as to who gets there. Both civilizations are very comfy going to the late game here. And we can now start to see that we've got pit mines beginning to come up on the backside as well. He's got the second layer of, or the second pit mine that's come in. Do we see the third pit mine taken just yet? We do. So he's got triple pit mines working over time. Manages to hold on the front. Donzo's coming in. He's got plenty of Donzos here, but he's actually outnumbered. The Donzo's outnumbered. It's not even going to matter that they're outnumbered. The Knight's just going to be running past. Yet to see any upgrades on these Knights, but they're still going to be able to hit on the wood lines. And speaking of wood lines, look at that. If you've ever needed a little lumber camp in it, now is the time. Knight's going to be just running past, though. Looks like the Imam. Oh, they've spotted the Imam. Watch out, my friend. You're going to need more than prayer to save yourself today. And, oh, they get so close, but unfortunately just so damn far. He's going to... So you might not think that that's a big deal, but it slows him down. It slows down that... And, oh, a little bit of a mistake right here from Crackety. Throwing away a couple of Knights. That's the first Knight taken out. Second Knight taken out. Third Knight going to go down. Crackety not paying attention. He might be looking in another space. Crackety here. Is he disconnected or something? Oh, he's being distracted on the backside the same way that we're being distracted. He loses all of his Knights in the enemy base. We just saw 8 Knights go down in the enemy base because of this counterattack on the front side. So beautiful play here by Zerton. Absolutely amazing play there by Zerton to distract Crackety and force that response so that Crackety is too busy looking over this side of the map, forgets about his knights in the enemy base, loses 4 knights here, loses 4 knights under this town center. Big oof right there. Like, you're talking about oof size, that is oof size big right there. Because those knights just keep running around the enemy base. They just come up over towards, they hit here, they keep moving on down towards here, they hit here, kill 2 villagers, move on into the corner, just keep running around circles. The fact that he can kill them and finish them off right now, right here, right now, oh, it's so big. It's such a relief for Zertan. He must be feeling incredible about taking those knights out. Over on the other side of the map, though, we'll ride on board with Crackety and see how he's doing as he begins adding in farms around the mill. Now, one of the things to note in the most recent update that has happened to farms and to mills is that it is much easier to drop these bad boys around your mill. Essentially, what you do is you grab a villager, you drop a mill, and then you hover over the mill and you click farms. Farm, 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 farm. And it will just put them in for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very nice and easily. It does the same thing around town centers as well. But obviously, as the English, you don't want to be doing that. You want to make sure that they are all around your farm so that you can maximize that farming bonus. You can see right there, he's sitting on plus 25% farming efficiency or farming bonus. Farming gather speed bonus right there. So very, very nice for him. But now the upgrade's starting to come in. Look at this men-at-arm upgrades. Armor cladding. You're looking to pick up fitted leather work as well. +1 ranged attack or ranged armor coming through. Every upgrade he's looking for. Actually, yeah, we do see that iron undermesh has come through for the moment. It always seems so weird to see it as the first upgrade. I'm so used to seeing the attack upgrades as the first upgrade. So I get a little bit confused when I look up here and I see that. But we'll get used to it eventually. But now veterancy coming through on the longbows as well. He's going to need to try and defend this push out from the Malians. Military count at the moment is definitely in need of a little bit of assistance for Crackety. Men-at-arms definitely going to be the way that he evens this out. So remember, the men-at-arms going to be a strong counter in this position here. And we start to hear Paling's going in the wrong direction. I guess he's fearful of a flank, maybe. Walls safely on the backside. More and more villagers moving slowly onto the gold, and we can see he's really starting to stack up gold at this point, so it needs to get that farm transition underway. Not a lot of farms out at the moment. Typically by this point you'd expect to see about 40 farms for our English friends, so Crackety definitely a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to farm transition. And speaking of transitions here, we've got ourselves a little bit of a keep transition, if you will, and this is a sacrifice, all right? The Malians going with a classic sacrifice here. Men-at-arms going to be able to hold the front line. 7 armor on those bad boys. The mangonel shot hits the longbows beautifully. Knight's going to be doing a bit of a run around, looking to try and hit the mangonel. Donzo's fall back, managed to make their way back, and it looks like a pretty decent cleanup. But the men-at-arms coming in, and now the longbows firing down on those villagers. He wants to prevent this from going up, and it looks like he's going to be able to do it. Look at the beautiful micro there from Crackety. Waits for the attack from the mangonel, and then moves forward ever so slightly. Men-at-arms uncontested whatsoever, and with that, it is doubtful this keep is going to get up. 3, 2, 1, cancelled. There it goes, and Zertan backs away from this central position, realizing that unfortunately these Musofadi warriors are a little bit too late to the party. He's going to have to head back to the drawing board with his direction in this game, and that's going to buy Crackety plenty of time, plenty of space. He's going to be able to get out onto the map now. Keep in mind, Crackety on 3 relics, 2 relics over for Zertan, but Zertan going to start contesting these sacred sites now, and we start to see that the sacred sites are going to be... Look at this. He's really starting to prepare now for the late game. This is going to be his next pit mine going down. He's already calling the shots over here. Crackety now beginning to transition into more and more farms. We see the villagers moving out. Might have to start thinking about walls, though. That's the big thing. When you're playing in these late games, up against civilizations like the Malians at this level, you really want to start thinking about wallings. You don't want to let them have an opportunity to hit you with raid after raid after raid. And you can see that's why I'm really favoring Zertan's position at the moment. These walls are going to guarantee the integrity of his base, the integrity of his economy. He's not going to have to think too hard, too fast about what his enemy is throwing at him when it comes to his defenses. But now these houses are going to be under pressure. Men-at-arms getting some decent value out on the map. More men-at-arms coming in. Now, one of the things Crackety's got to be careful of is investing too heavily into men-at-arms. If he goes too heavily into men-at-arms, there's always the potential that Musofadi warriors are going to be able to overwhelm him. So he needs to make sure that he's got a decent mix in there of longbows. By the same token, mangonels could be very potent against those. And we see the mangonel shot coming out. Look at the damage that comes in as well. Taking off 64 health there from those longbows. So really a lot of damage there. Mangonel coming off with another shot, but going to be able to be repelled from this. We hear the bells of the church. No, that's not the bells of the church, my friends. That is the bells of the English. The English defensive structures just popping off non-stop. But I'm loving the outpost coverage here from Crackety. Base is looking really good. I'm loving the way that he's expanding out here. Economy not centralized around one location, so if he does get hit with a big raid, it's not going to hurt him too much. But now, more and more, he's moving towards these gold veins. He's not actually taking the gold veins out on the map, but rather taking the gold veins in his base, which I guess you could consider... It's an interesting decision. And there are two schools of thought about this. But if you take the gold veins that are out on the map, if you look to... Let's say you come out here and you secure this. Maybe you wall it off and drop down an outpost or two, something like that. Well, then you're going to be leaving that gold in the back of your base nice and safe. But we do see the Wingard Palaces coming up. No, Crackety, please. I hate this so much. I hate it. Putting a Wingard Palace on the front line is the biggest mistake you can make as an English player. This bad boy needs to be in the back of your base. Needs to be nice and safe. You get these 8 vills here, you just drop that Wingard right here. I don't care. Drop it here. That's even better. But when you leave it on the front like this, you leave it exposed. And if you lose this Wingard Palace, you're going to be in dire straits. Looks like a little bit of an overchop came through, and just as we were talking about the consequence of having those walls up and the fact you're not going to have to think about what your enemy's throwing at you, Crackety finds a hole in the argument and a hole in the wall and begins sieging down the enemy position. Take a look at this. He's managed to get breakthrough. We've got plenty of cows back here. I don't think that all of these are being affected by the Grand Fulani Corral. Might need to have to move these pastures a little bit closer. We can see he doesn't have them all in the influence here, so a little bit of a mistake here from Zerton. And now just going to be working through all of these buildings. He needs to make sure that he murders the cows. You must kill the cows. Please kill the cows. If you do not kill the cows, you're not going to get value here because you're just going to be able to rebuild the ranches. And we can see now the cows still stay alive, and he's just kind of bunching up all the cows together here. It's almost like he's blocking them in, the men-at-arms. But now, for the most part, it looks like the Musafati Warriors are going to trade out pretty effectively here against the Men-at-Arms. Keep in mind, Musafati Warriors are a lot cheaper than Men-at-Arms, but this is what I was talking about. If you're able to camp the Wingard Palace, there's going to be a really difficult spot for Crackety. He's going to be Imperial, but he's going to have nothing to show for it. Elite upgrades are coming through now, as well as the enclosures. Let there be no question. Also see Arrow Volley coming through. Elite Men-at-Arms, Elite Longbowmen also coming in. So he's going to be completely elitely upgraded. Only upgrade that we haven't seen coming through just yet is the Elite Knights. But behind the scenes, we do see that the Men-at-Arms were pretty successful in their attack, but it was cleaned up ever so nicely by Zerton. He's down about 30 villagers at the moment. 30 villagers? Yeah, about 30 villagers at the moment. And he does get repelled on the front side. So we've got a bit of a battle here of the late game. And Good Game just gets called. Crackety is in the Imperial Age. Zerton says, I can't do it. I can't take him out. He's in the Imperial Age. He's got the advantage. He's got the elite units. He's going to push my base, and there's nothing I can do about it. And there it goes. Beautiful English timing right there from Crackety, finding the window. And I think that just goes to show the advantage of having the OG Civ versus the disadvantage of having the new Civ. Sure, we know the build orders. Sure, we know the timings, but we don't know the overall strategy for these civilizations just yet, and that's what makes it so hard. And so you know that when you're up against an English player in the Imperial Age, you're kind of like, oh, well, yeah, I've got a full house, but he's got 4 of a kind. What do I do here? He's just got me beat. And that is where I think that true power comes in this event from having the home civilization. So once again, we take a look here. So in the next game, you can be guaranteed that Crackety is going to be on the Malians. The question is, what civilization is Zerton going to be going for? He's still got 7 civilizations available to him to pick from, but he does have the advantage because he won the last game. But we're going to be moving into that next game shortly. So fellas, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you check that one out. But make sure you also check out the Red Bull Wololo. It's going to be happening today, tomorrow, the next day. Go there. I'll leave a link in the description, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.